So today we have a really interesting topic. We're going to talk about identity crisis and midlife crisis and tapping into who you really are.
Tapping into who you really are. Wow. Wow. Marci, who are you really?
Well, it's so funny. Years ago, I read like a spiritual book. I forget which one, but it talked about like not identifying yourself by like, I'm so and so's mom, I'm so and so's wife, I'm such and such career.
Is that the untethered soul?
It might have been. Does that sound like
100%
it?
the untethered
Yes.
soul. Yeah,
Like-
Michael Singer, I think.
Yes, it is. Yes, that might have been it because I know I read that one. And just you are. You're a being. You're here. You're now. You know, it's good.
Yeah, so it's funny you bring that book up because I had felt some kind of a way when I did this book.
Did you like it?
I don't know because it really, you had to do this deep work, which I guess I highly recommend that for, especially with this topic that we are approaching, which is identity and midlife crisis and all of the things, all the fun things that come with that, which
So
actually,
light.
it's light, but you know what? It does lead to a lot of fun things once you do the work.
Yes. After no, I agree with that.
Actually really kind of magical. So, even though this might be a tough topic and it may hit home, just know on the other side of getting through some of this work, we just referenced it in an episode called Love the Life You Live. The life you get to wake up to once you've realized who you are inside that life is so different than when you are just going through the motions.
You're going to bring such a different energy to the table.
Sure, for sure. So it's a really deep topic, like who am I? And what it boils down to, spoiler alert, is you are consciousness. You are here to live a human experience in all of its iteration. And that's what you are here to do. But at the end of it, I'm still like, but I am a human. And what human am I meant to be inside of that life?
Yeah, I don't know. I like it because it's not like the things around you, whether you create them or not, they do not have to define you.
Yeah, I get that point.
Like you
I
can
do,
disconnect and dive deeper. And I think a lot of women and moms in particular struggle with this with children, that they just get so wound into their child and that's their whole identity, to the point that their child's success or failures also become their identity. And I think that's the point of this too, is just like, no, you're just a human breathing air and living life.
Well, I think it goes back to our Mommy is Smarter episode that we did.
Yes.
That there are so many roles we identify ourselves as. We're the mom, we're the wife, we're the career person, we're the funny frat friend, we are a podcaster. And those are things we do. Those aren't who we are.
Yes.
And we get that confused a lot. So when those things don't live up to the expectation, because there are other people involved, and I'm so caught up in those external things, my worth is so tied to it that then I'm having an identity crisis.
Yeah.
Because I don't actually know who I am underneath all of that.
Interesting. Yeah. I think a lot of this can come up in that midlife part. And there's several different ways to define midlife, or which can cause that identity crisis, like retirement. If you've been like so emotionally attached to your career, and then suddenly when that's gone, who are you? Empty nesting. When the kids leave the house, you've been so attached to the identity of motherhood. Who am I? And I actually had this when my youngest daughter went to preschool a little bit. Like I was so used to, on my days off of work, having a little buddy with me, and to the grocery, to the park, to the this, and I loved little ones and playing and doing and museuming and all the fun things. And I actually was like, oh my gosh. And I remember telling a client, like, maybe I'll become a yoga instructor. Maybe I'll have another baby, and I just needed to pause and take a second and realize it's okay for life to progress. In fact, we hope it always does. You don't, like, nothing's on fire. Nothing's like rushed through this. Nothing's gone wrong. Nothing's bad.
Yeah, because all of these things, like I look back on when my kids were little, there were these moments that you thought would never end. Like Caroline and Sarah both, for, I don't even know, maybe 7 or 8 years of childhood years for me were in the Dayton Ballet Nutcrackers, so they like kind of grew up in it. Now you're baby mouse, and now you're the little baby lamb, and now you're a party girl, and now, so you're an angel, and so for 8, 9 years.
Yeah.
every holiday season, well, months up to that because of practices, I'm headed down to Dayton, to the Dayton Ballet,
Yeah.
and I'm at the Victoria Theater in the waiting area while
Yeah.
my kids are in practice every Christmas season, 3-5 days a week.
Wow.
And then Nutcracker would come and we would, I'd pull them out on tech days and we would go out and have a nice little lunch. And then I would take them down for tech day. And then, we would have all of our friends for 2 weekends because they were both always in both weekends. We would have our friends come in and it was lots of eating out and it was all this like festivity.
Yeah.
Thought it would never end.
Yeah.
Until it did.
Yes.
And then suddenly this whole new reality started. And then I had these tennis players and I thought it would never end.
Yeah.
But then it did. And so,
did you have an identity crisis each time it ended?
you know what? I didn't have an identity crisis each time it ended. But now, as an empty nester, I look back and I tell myself, remember when that happened? And you thought there was no life beyond that time, but there was.
Yeah.
So it's almost proving to myself as I look in the rearview mirror as I'm dealing now with, wait, I thought I would have children in my home forever. Everybody told me I wouldn't. But when I was in it, it felt like I would. And now I'm not. But think of all the other times you thought something was forever and it wasn't. And there was something bigger, better, more fun.
Right. Different.
Because the next phase was different. And that was fun.
Yeah. It's interesting too. I think humans love consistency and something familiar. So it does feel like our brains like to think it'll be like this forever. But in reality, everything's kind of changing all the time, all around us. And it's not a bad thing. I just think our brains have to like catch up and process, oh, this isn't going quite like I thought it would, or it's not turning out exactly how I envisioned it would, but it's okay.
You suffer so many micro identity shifting moments in your life, right?
Yes.
Where you're Caroline's mom, she's really good at ballet. You're Sarah's mom, she's a great tennis player. And so then you become the mom of the really good ballet little girlie, or you're the mom of the tennis player. But then the micro shift happened. And then it was, you're the one who works in insurance, right? And so then that becomes your identity. And you keep changing. These little micro shifts keep happening. And then the big one happens, or the big two happens, sometimes simultaneously.
What are the big two?
You retire.
Okay.
And you have empty nesters.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a big three. You lose a spouse.
Oh.
You get into those years where you've got those three things are kind of all happening a lot of the time in the same time frame.
Yeah.
10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
It's like whiplash.
Wow.
Like you're just recovering from one and now you're moving into the next one. And then you're moving into the next one. And it's like, I can't keep up. You're maybe selling your home that you've lived in for 20 some years. And so this neighborhood, all these people, all this support, but now you're downsizing. It's that time. You know, it's the next phase of life.
Yeah.
But that's also coinciding with the fact that now I'm retiring and I'm moving. What? And my kids have left the house? What the hell? I am freaking out over here. I don't know who I am anymore. And now I'm sitting here looking at this man. He's a stranger. I don't even recognize.
Yeah.
Those are big things.
Those are
not
things.
micro shifts.
Yeah. And what percentage would you guess? Like, how common do you think this big shift is for people, for women?
I mean, it's not small. Most women will go through a time period where they say to themselves, who am I now?
Yeah. So how did you weather it when your children left the nest?
Well, having a 4-year age difference between my children
Yes.
has its pros and cons.
True.
This was a pro
Okay.
because Sarah left first.
Right.
And then 4 years later, Caroline left.
Yes.
So I had a gradual time.
Yeah.
To like get used to the fact of, okay, now I'm down to one child at home and the next one is leaving. That being said, I mean, I could not listen to that Stevie Nicks song. Oh God, what is it? The one where, the like.
I don't know this. I don't know.
Come on.
I might know it. I'm bad at songs.
Oh, yeah, me too, obviously. I can't remember the name. But Caroline was evil. And the day we took her to college, she went to University of Connecticut. The day we took her and we're pulling up to the campus because, we have all of her stuff. She puts that song on. Are you kidding me? What? And I'm just sobbing as we pull up to campus.
Yes.
It was hard. I mean, I'm not going to lie because here's the thing. I had I'm air quoting retired at age 50. going into Caroline's senior year.
Yeah.
So I stopped working.
Okay.
And a year later, I was an empty nester.
Wow. So that was a double whammy for you.
I had a double whammy. I had both of those things. And I actually had a triple whammy because not only did I retire from working, I also retired from being Caroline's tennis manager.
So yeah, you had a lot more free time.
And it sounds like a small thing, like, oh, that's not a big deal. No, I traveled every single week.
Wow.
For years.
Wow.
Not for a short amount of time. For years. And not only was it not that, it was every day. I am analyzing what should she eat? Where should she be training? What tennis tournament are we going to do? What's her ranking? How do we get the ranking up? What's going to happen to her ranking if she doesn't beat this player? Da, 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 da. Every day.
Wow, you gave that so much energy.
So I didn't have that. I didn't have my career. I didn't have my child at home.
Yeah.
My oldest daughter was graduating college.
Yeah.
When we talk about who am I? And then I lost 175 pounds.
That had to really shift your identity as well. That was huge.
Everything changed. Everything.
Was it fun? Like you were reinventing yourself and had free time in like a positive way?
Yes. After a little bit of time. It
Okay.
was fun. I think it made it a little gentler for me because every step down the path was somebody to help me a little bit further along.
Nice.
Everywhere I turned, there was
Yeah.
a resource to help me through that.
Yeah.
Whether it was a podcast, whether it was a book, whether it was an actual human.
Right. Help you on the journey. That's a very good point. I really do genuinely believe if you're feeling lost or stuck, well, a couple things. And get outside of your own head because you could just get so swamped with your own thoughts, like analysis paralysis, like I could do this, I could do that, and then you do nothing and then you're just like wallowing in your nothing. But I think volunteer work is a really great way to get involved in whatever your passion is. If you like pets, go to an animal shelter. If you like humans, volunteer at a nursing home, like whatever. And then the other thing too is like, I think allow yourself some space and time to just be and see what ignites you again, what excites you again.
So to that,
yes,
when the first big shift, which was I quit working at 50.
And did you want to quit working?
Yeah. No, I did. I did want to quit working. I had been a stay-at-home mom for 14 years, and then I went back into the workforce for 8. And when I went back to work, it was never meant to be
forever
till I reached true retirement age.
Okay.
It was just, like I wanted to do something else. The girls were in school, the whole thing. But here's what I said when it happened. I came home and I was like, okay, guys, Caroline's wanting to go for a second state title in the fall. We're getting recruited right now. Because, my identity was being her tennis mom. So it was a win for both of us. We're getting recruited right now. We're in the middle of all of this. We've got all this training to do over the summer. So there's going to be a lot of travel. I'm not going to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I told my family. I'm not going to volunteer. I actually am against volunteering when you have a big shift immediately. And I'll tell you why in a minute. I'm actually anti that. I'm not anti-volunteering. I am anti-doing it too soon. But I said, I am going to take until Caroline gets through whether or not she wins the second state title or not. Right. I'm going to wait till we get through that because it's very distracting before I make any major moves.
Right.
One way or the other, committing to what the next part of my life is going to look like. That was the best thing I could have done. It was a true pause. And I really think that's what opened me up to be so able to see the path as it unfolded.
Did you pray for any guidance or anything or not really? You can be honest here.
No, I did not. I was in a weird place with my faith.
Sure.
My organized religion faith, which is a story for another day. I was in a weird place with that. Jesus, I love you. So, but what I am saying is that didn't know. I didn't ask for guidance. I didn't do any of that. Something in me said, don't do what you've always done.
It was a knowing.
And here's what I've always done in my prior identity is I found an identity to fill because I didn't know who I really was. And that's why I'm anti-volunteering right away, because I've seen so many women retire and immediately go, I'm going to go do this now. And they swap one identity for another without taking the pause to find out who am I? And they don't find even what they're passionate about. But it's so easy. And I see so many women swap one identity for another
and
under the guise of a good cause.
Not take the time to dig into the meat of the issue.
It's an avoidance. I mean, honestly, that's what it is. It's an avoidant behavior. I'm going to swap this uncomfortable feeling of not knowing who I am with this very good thing of helping
Yes.
people.
Yes. In life coaching, we call that buffering. Like you're just trying to not feel the negative emotion, which like identity crisis could be considered a negative emotion because it might be loneliness or fear or frustration or embarrassment. And so when you're trying to like not feel that emotion, it's almost like a beach ball that you're like pushing down under the water. And like eventually the beach ball will erupt again if you don't process through the emotion. And sometimes it can erupt bigger emotion, negative emotion, or some physical manifestation of feeling sick or whatever. And I'm not saying every sickness is from stuffing, and buffering away from emotions, but it's important to feel the negative emotion. And I think the best way to do that is process it in your body, close your eyes and like find where it is in your body. And typically it's somewhere below the chin and above the legs. It's in the trunk. It could be in your throat, your chest, your belly. And then breathe through it in that hard moment of the identity crisis or whatever, the empty nest, the changing of careers, but like let it like sit there and breathe through it and feel the sensation, knowing it cannot hurt you. It's temporary. And often once you breathe through it, then it will like release. And I think that's the thing. If you're busying yourself versus facing the music of the negative emotion, that can be a bad pattern and road to go down.
I say the pause is probably the best gift you can give yourself when you are starting to go into one of these major identity shifts, and also the realization that you've had so many micro shifts and you've survived every last one of them.
True.
Right?
Great point. Now, Peggy, what would you say to the woman that like she's had a huge identity shift, but she doesn't have time to like do nothing all summer? What would you say to her?
She's got time. Like we don't think we have time, but it's because we're so busy filling that time. How many hours do you have in a week? Maybe you're a hard worker. Maybe you're an overworker, actually. I'm not going to say a hard worker. Maybe you're a 60-hour.
Let's give it to her. Yeah, Pam.
Just let somebody else do the job, Pam. But you still have time.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, when somebody says, let's go out to dinner, you go out to dinner. When somebody says, hey, want to take this little trip with me, you take the little trip. Because guess what you're doing? You're buffering as much as you can to avoid the discomfort by staying busy.
By busying yourself.
You're busying yourself. So you can still pause. And you're telling yourself, no, I can't. No, but you can because your kids just left. That opened up a lot of time in your life.
And you don't have to, your pause doesn't have to look like Peggy's pause. It doesn't have to be like a summer off.
An extreme pause. And I'm aware of that.
But I think it's okay if it's like 1 hour a day, you just sit and breathe or journal or meditate.
Half an hour.
Yes. I mean, I do believe you will make time for whatever you want to make time for. So,
and I will say, except for the extreme of like maybe losing a spouse, these things are not sneaking up on you. You know, at some point your children are leaving the house. You know, at some point you will be retiring and stopping working. I mean, you do know at some point either your spouse is going to lose a spouse or you're going to lose the spouse.
Sure.
But you know, so prepare now.
Yeah.
Start doing these little things now, practicing the pause now to say, who am I after I'm not this?
Mm-hmm.
And what happened with me, that it was just a moment of clarity in a pause, but it was a moment of clarity in that pause. What ended up happening with me is I was sitting there. All of a sudden it hit me like, you are smart. You are capable. People like you. Women live to be almost 100 years old on your mom's side of the family. The odds are in your favor that you will have that opportunity as well. And you're 50 years old looking at another 40 or 50 ahead of you.
Yeah.
What are you doing with that time? And I sat there and went, I'm not a mom anymore. I mean, I am, but not an active one. I'm not working. I don't volunteer. I don't do anything. I've had 40 or 50 more years of not doing anything. Are you kidding me? No, that will not be my end result. I am smart. I am capable. I used to know what I wanted and now I don't.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. I don't know who I am for the next half, literally half. And so then I started to look backwards and go, okay, you did all of these things in the same amount of time you have left. You've got 40 or 50 more years of those kind of moments looking at you in the eye. Who are you going to be in that?
Yes.
And that changed everything.
I want to say this too. I want to like share this tactic because I love you guys that are listening. If you are worrying about this, if you are in your head and you're feeling anxiety, which anxiety only lives in the future, it's never now, because right now we're okay. Anxiety is fear of something in the future, and shame and guilt is something in the past. That's how those two things work, okay? I'm going to teach you a little something called the worry box. And when our brains are anxious, they're trying to prepare us and protect us from something in the future. And it used to be good. Back in the day when we were like caveman times, it was like, good, winter's coming. We need to prepare. We need food and clothing and whatever. But now we have like Kroger and coats and things. So we don't really need that as much. So I want you to picture in your mind a box with a lid and a lock. Okay. And when those worries come up, and this might be worry about what am I going to do with myself when my kids leave the nest? What am I going to do when I retire? I have no hobbies right now. Whatever. You are going to put them in the box and close the lid and lock it and say, brain, thank you so much. I will open the box on Sundays at 3 p.m. and I will give myself a full hour to worry about all those things. But I've heard the warning. Thank you. I see it. I hear it. It's in the box, and move on with the day. So when you acknowledge it, the brain is willing to relax and release it. And that's going to free up your space in your head to do something else with that brain space and thought and time. But it's also acknowledged that like you will worry about it. And here's the crazy part. Come Sunday at 3 p.m., there's a good chance a lot of it you're not even going to want to think about. Like it's just your brain's trying to protect you. These aren't real threats to your safety or future. If you want to, great. Do it for an hour, great. And then shut the lid and lock the box in your mind again.
Yeah, I think it's important to not let yourself get overwhelmed. And I think that an important distinction here is your worry box is not the same thing as your compartmentalization because you're acknowledging it. When we get into a midlife crisis, which is really an identity crisis,
right?
But it's got a name for a reason because we take erratic actions, right? Because we're uncomfortable. And so, the guy goes buys the sports car, he has the affair, the woman has the affair, or she loses weight and then decides, well, now I'm a party girl and I'm going to get divorced and I'm going to go live this whole new life. I think we need to kind of say, is that serving my highest good? Sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. But are extreme behaviors the answer, or am I just trading one identity for another?
Am I not taking the pause and like resting and like sitting in it to see like what I actually want to do with my life?
Right. Because it's uncomfortable. So now I'll just be this thing instead.
Yes. Like this is my new identity.
Yeah. This is
You're
who I am
swapping
now.
it out.
Yeah. You just trade it out. A lot of people who lose weight, they'll, blow up their lives after they lose weight in one way or another. Some of them get divorced. Some of them, get these whole new friend groups and they start going out all the time when before they were homebodies.
Interesting.
Or they start to dress sexy.
Interesting.
They start to have a shopping problem, or they start to have a money problem.
Oh, fascinating.
Or they start to have a drinking problem because you didn't change anything. The same avoidant behavior is existing. You just traded one addiction for another.
Right.
You traded one set of limiting whatevers for another set.
Right.
But you called it your identity.
Yeah. And I think if you've gone down a rabbit hole that you don't like who you're becoming, you don't like the attitude you're bringing towards it, it's never too late to change. You're never too far gone to like reevaluate, recalibrate. We're humans. We're humans having a human experience. So don't throw in the towel and say, this is as good as it gets. This has to be my new identity. No, it doesn't.
And if you did do that, okay, you ended up in this situation, start to make a better choice now. A lot of women get empowered and leave a situation they didn't feel confident to leave before.
Right.
And it's in their best interest to do that.
True.
And they're coming at it from an authentic, well thought out, paused place, right? And you are making very quick decisions and you know that. And, again, we go back to how do you know? How do you know where this lives? Well, does it feel expansive or does it feel constrictive? Because the thing that is running in the back of your head going, maybe this isn't the best idea, but I'm going to do it anyway because I've earned the right to do it. That's sort of your red flag. If you're convincing yourself you're doing the right thing, but if you've got to sell it to yourself, it's probably worth the pause. And if it feels like I feel free, I feel like, oh my gosh, I am the best version of myself now. Chase that. Yeah, do it. But I don't think you can move quickly from one place to another without the pause in there to know the difference between those two.
I think that's right. I think the pause is very helpful. And if you're bad at pausing, that's okay too. You can almost try on different things like different outfits.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have to take a ton of pause. It can be like, for the next 24 hours, I'm going to choose to think this way. And then the next day, something different. I mean, the human brain is so powerful, and you can just decide you want to try on a different hat and wear it around for a day and see how you like it. So I think pausing is good, but I don't think it has to be a super slow process.
No, it just needs to be a super aligned process. So, know that drastic measures often have drastic results.
True.
One way or the other. And, slow and steady does sometimes win the race. It does. I mean, small changes, micro changes that build become
for lasting change.
Major changes eventually at the end of it. At the beginning, it doesn't feel like you're headed towards a major change. But by the end of it, you look back and go, how did that even happen? When you build a house, you don't go, I'm going to build a house, and then suddenly they put one brick and then the next day you have a house. No, it's one brick on top of one brick on top of one brick. And then the next thing you know, you're like, how did it go from this empty lot to this house? But it didn't happen quickly. It happened one brick at a time, one step at a time. Small changes that created something sturdy and stable and lasting.
Well, I think we had a lot of good nuggets of wisdom today. So what would we want to say is like a little teensy homework thing for anyone going through an identity crisis or midlife crisis?
We've talked about the pause a lot. I think let's preemptive pause.
I love it.
Let's start building in 10 minutes every day. It doesn't have to be.
I love 10 minutes a day. That's perfect. Yeah, that's good.
To just sit with yourself, whether you journal, you think, you're not on your phone, you're not scrolling.
No
set
scrolling.
A timer.
Yes.
And just pause and see what comes.
Yes.
And just, let your brain worry a little. Let it just kind of circle around that thought and give it its moment. And then when those 10 minutes are up, you're done, because I bet you'll get some clarity if you can keep that practice going.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. That sounds great. All right, you got this.
You've so got this. All right, that's our shift for today.
Go live, laugh, and do one bold thing before the next episode drops.
Follow us at No More BullShift and keep the conversation going.
Because if you can't laugh about it,
you probably still need to shift it.